Welcome to NGS Season 9. Here we are about to start with Better Than Bots versus Amateur Opponents, one of the most hyped games of the week, especially in this division. We are in Division C West. We are going to Towers of Doom. Amateur Opponents with the first pick, so Towers of Doom picked by Better Than Bots. Just a quick rundown, the map bans are Battlefield of Eternity, Braxis Holdout, Dragonshire, and Infernal Shrines. No Diablo maps for uh no Diablo maps for tonight, but definitely interested to see how these two teams stack up again, especially with them being towards the top of their division. Looks like both teams are ready. We're getting ready to go. With me tonight, I do have one of my best friends in the world, Nadri, also known as Max. If I slip up throughout the night, don't worry, neither of those are his real name. As we get ready to go to lobby, let me see if I can give you a better statistic on what I just said. Amateur Opponents is number 1 in the division, Better Than Bots ranked at number 7, but they haven't lost yet, so definitely looking at an interesting matchup. Oh, I'm being corrected. Not one of the most anticipated matches of the week. Most anticipated match of the season.
Ooh.
Lunara coming out as the first ban early. That looks like a very targeted ban here. And a really quick ban. Someone's been doing their research.
Yeah, Lunara can really get into the enemy team and just kind of cause a lot of havoc. Looks like we also have the Greymane ban coming out.
And so some feedback from the people who do the statistics about ranking these teams. Both teams are undefeated so far in the season, which provides plenty of opportunity for a clash here between them. So Better Than Bots ranked kind of low for their record. However, that's a lot of that can just be based off of their opponents. They've mostly been facing the bottom half of the division, but again, a lot of potential, especially coming in facing the number 1 team in the division. Deathwing comes out as a ban as well. Deathwing's been really prominent on Towers of Doom with that Skyfall talent, although it did just receive a bit of a nerf. Anna getting banned as well for her poke CC. Deathwing able to stay in the air and delay an alter cap for a while.
And then I actually like the Ana ban too. She can be very disruptive, especially with that long range sleep that can go through, and then she has really consistent heals. So it looks like the Joanna is going to be the first pick here. Joanna is a really big wall, and it's just really all around good. It's never really good to let Joe to go through first pick.
Right, Joe's generally been a really solid first pick. She's a really strong tank, really beefy hero, has a lot of CC, and she's a very common first pick we've seen throughout the season. Li Ming and Leoric, interesting coming out first for Better Than Bots. Li Ming, lots of poke, definitely able to delay out the objective. Leoric, really big, frontline, beefy, can do a lot of suppression onto the enemy team. As we see Sylvanas and Malthael coming out to finish off the first round of picks. Sylvanas has been really strong with the changes in the towers. Not surprised to see her picked up since she hasn't been banned. And Malthael, just a good finisher overall, a good brawler.
Yeah, and he also has a lot of percent damage and self-sustain, so you can kind of just sit him out in the middle of nowhere and kind of let him do his thing, or when he gets up into the team fight, he can cause some havoc. So he's just kind of a good all-around pick there.
Yeah, definitely excited to see this come out. Malthael and Joanna pretty much going to make the whole front line. Looking to see, ooh, was that just my imagination? Did the lights kind of flash? There's been a storm here recently, so stand by to stand by, but I think everything is blown over for the most part. As Mephisto and Varian get banned, Mephisto dominating the season, and Varian just an all-around good pick. He's a good pick for a pick comp. Yeah, looking to see, obviously we're still going to see the healer come out of Amateur Opponents, as Better Than Bots picks up their healer in Lucio Boostio, and Falstad for that global presence. Looking a little squishy on the side of better than bots, but then again, they still haven't picked their tank. I don't like the lack of full-on sustain damage, but this is a very pokey map objective. What
yeah,
kinda...
being able.
Go ahead.
Nope.
Anytime you're ready.
Jimmy, the large minion Rainer, coming out for amateur opponents. Stukov, kind of the healer I would expect to see. I was going to ask you what healer you think they're going to pick, but instead I'm going to ask you what tank do you think Crafty's going to pick for better than bots to go with this team?
It looks like
Blaze,
it's going to end up being
answer.
Blaze.
These guys are too fast for us, Nadri. It's which hopefully means these fights are going to be fast-paced as well. We've had a lot of matches recently where it's a lot of just sitting around, not doing a whole lot, and then suddenly they go at it, and then nothing happens, and they back off. So hopefully going to be a high-action game. The way this objective works, I expect it to be. And
pretty explosive.
Absolutely. Very explosive. And that's the draft. Here we go into the Nexus. All right, as we're loading in to give you the refresher, we have Crafty Trent on Blaze, Dr. Evil 12 on Leoric, Megan 420 on Li Ming, the Dude Man on Falstad, and Evil Alto on Lucio Bustio. That is better than bots.
On the red team, we have amateur opponents, and playing Rainer, we're going to have Sonics Bro 33. On the Stukov, we have Butte Holiday. On the Sylvanas, we're going to have Cactus Ham. Matthew is going to be Saint Terminator. Ooh. And Joanna is going to be played by Duck Rogers.
Of the 21st and a half century. I do want to know, though, is that Street Terminator or Saint Terminator? Something we'll have to ask them later if we get an opportunity to chat.
Oh, I would like to know.
Right? It's a very big difference. Alright, so Towers of Doom, definitely interesting. As a reminder for those watching, this map has the cores immune to hero damage throughout the game. Each core has 40 health. Each altar does damage equal to your core plus the number of towers you have control of. And if you control all 6 towers on the map, your core will steadily shoot 1 damage to the other core. There's camps that can be used for capping towers and also, or taking towers. It can do direct damage to the core, as well as the boss, which deals 4 damage. And we are 15 seconds from the starting bell.
The battle begins in 10 seconds.
Overall, a really interesting set of team comps coming from both of these teams. Who do you think has the draft advantage coming in?
It looks like amateur opponents has a lot more like engage and like execution with the mouthfeel, but the better than bots over here, especially with like the Falstad and the Li Ming, have a lot of poke, which can actually kind of draw out some of these objectives, allowing them to actually make rotations and get to actual fights. There's a big fight going on here in bot lane after Sylvanas tried to do some cheese with the passive over here.
Absolutely. They didn't get a whole lot of progress on that tower, and amateur opponents looking really low coming out of that as they retreat across, all the way across the map back to their side. They're going to all be dropped down to about half health, but Stukov able to take care of it fairly handily. No struggle there. But definitely not getting the amount of progress on that tower that they wanted for sure.
They actually covered.
Yeah, it looks like better than bots had a pretty quick reaction time, like they were almost expecting this use out of Sylvanas.
Sorry for that little sound blip in chat. That was my fault. Problem solved. And looks like both teams are trying to get control of this bottom lane. This bottom lane is definitely where the pressure should be, as it has control over 2 sappers and access to 2 altars. Or 2 neutral altars. A very big point of contention, probably throughout this game. See, Sapper Camp picked up for amateur opponents. They're going for the invade. They catch them before they can take out the Sappers all the way down. Lucio and Blaze looking in trouble. Blaze silenced by the Stukov in the bush. Gets pulled in by the Condemned. He's trying to hold the point. He jab repulsions, hits a wall of Joanna, and goes down to Rainer. Cap 1 for the large minion, and they steal the Sapper Camp, which will immediately get progress on that tower wall and gate as their own Sapper Camp comes marching in. ready to cause a lot of problems. A fantastic recovery from a rough start for amateur opponents.
Yeah, it looks like that play was actually kind of set up because both teams are using the Leoric and the Malthael to double soak, and then when they saw Leoric top, the call was to bring the Malthael down to make that 5v4 happen. And so then you saw all 5 members of amateur opponents just collapsing in on that objective, knowing exactly what they were doing, what they were going for.
Yeah, absolutely. Malthael really good on the rotations, as he does have on a pale horse, making his mountain movement speed a total of 150% regular move speed. So calling those rotations are going to be big. Expect to see a lot of lopsided fights as Leoric struggles to get to team fights in relation to Malthael. A big condemn goes out on the Blaze, pulling him into the silence. 40 health, no health. Another one on the board for the large minion. Blaze really having trouble staying out of the condemn silence combo on Stukov and Joanna. Really, really rough. Blaze gonna have to stay a little bit farther back.
It looks like the objectives can go ahead and drop, and we have Malthael coming over here on amateur opponent's side to get their top side objective.
Yeah, we should expect them to just trade and then fight over the bottom one, although it looked like Better Than Bots was going to try to disrupt Malthael on his, but not able to get there in time as they do trade the top ones. But the bottom one goes to amateur opponents uncontested because Better Than Bots decided to spread out and go for a really risky attack on the enemy altar.
Now, Sylvanas gets out with almost no health as the fight kind of commences here in bot lane.
Yes, but at the cost of that, almost no health. Better Than Bots looking really low as well. Having to back out as the front line for amateur opponents is still quite healthy, and they have probably a lot more sustained firepower between the Sylvanas and the Raynor into 2 mages of Falstad and Li Ming. Falstad does look like he is going full lightning build as he has Bribe and Static Shield already. So that's going to be it's kind of sustained. But again, that ability has a fairly long cooldown, so it kind of mixes in between sustained burst damage, or I guess drawn out burst damage. I wouldn't really know how to clarify it, but they don't really have a full presence like Raynor does. As they do skirmish again in the bot lane after these sappers start walking down, Sylvanas again getting out with not very much health. Props to Stukov on keeping her up. They keep getting real close to falling, but they haven't yet, holding their 2-0 kill lead, and they have about a half level of experience lead over Better Than Bots. That should even out though, as there are a lot of minions to be killed right here in the bottom lane, as both solo laners doing a great job on the soak. The rotation staying about even, the experience staying about even. Really good job on the double soaking for both teams. As we come into this solo altar objective here in the middle of the map, I'm ready for some mayhem. What about you?
Yeah, it looks like both teams are kind of posturing to actually fight over this objective. The last objective, they just kind of traded spots. It looks like they're going in on this Raynor here with the Lucio and the Falstad.
Yeah, Lucio putting out that reverse amp to slow down the Raynor, hoping that Falstad can catch up and get the kill, but Raynor able to get out just in time, but putting amateur opponents at a disadvantage right now. It looks like Better Than Bots is gonna be able to put some pressure out onto this ult.
The engage comes out.
Yeah, and again the condemn into the lurking arm almost drops the Leoric, and in chasing the Leoric, Falstad crosses over the wrong path. Raynor finishing off the Falstad as Malthael chases down the Lucio. Lucio not having enough wheels to get out, gets caught by the Malthael as Blaze also trying to run away. Isn't going to be able to, and falls to Malthael as well. That was a big three kill exchange for amateur opponents. No deaths on their side, and they're able to push into this bot lane.
As they pick up their level 10s, we start seeing ultimates come out. We see a couple like Sylvanas has Wailing Arrow, which would be really good to help set up those explosive team fights they're looking for as she
dies to the tower that she could disable. And a little bit of self-deprecation in the chat as she acknowledges that well, it was at that moment she knew she messed up.
It looks like level 10 is going to come out for Better Than Bots as well. We get the Entomb on Leoric, which we kind of expect. We get Disintegrate on the Li Ming. We get Gust on Falstad.
We see an interesting invade coming out of Better Than Bots into the siege camp or the sapper camp rather, of amateur opponents. Blaze kind of on the wrong side of some heroes, but scooting around, able to get the safety. No engage there. Really interesting no engage, as both teams had a 4-man right there.
It looks like they were trying to spot it out and decided to just call it off. They're still like hanging around thinking about it.
Yeah, that siege camp does get captured. We do have altars spawning at the top of the map. Just 2 altars, 1 for each side. And I predict that they will just exchange them at this point in the game, although Better Than Bots down by 2 altars could really use the swing by picking up both. So they might invade, but I still suspect at this point they're looking for a trade. As those are spawning real quick, we do see Combustion out of Blaze, Entomb, Leoric, Disintegrate, Li Ming, Mighty Gust, Falstad, Sound Barrier, Boostio, Flailing Swipe out of Stukov, Wailing Arrow,
looks like Falstad's coming up to interrupt a Malthio up here in the top objective. And Lucio's going to be able to pick that up for Better Than Bots. Better Than Bots getting both objectives.
Absolutely a big invade for Better Than Bots, but they're going to lose their bottom fort to it. This bottom fort establishes control of the map as Raynor, with single-digit health, escapes the Li Ming, but here comes the Fly and the Gust from Falstad. 1 hit on Joe and the Raynor, but the Falstad's going to fall instead. The Iron Skin comes out as Lucio comes in with the Sound Barrier, able to push out the Joanna, finally take her down. Oh my goodness, what a chase from the Lucio. Blaze finishing his grilling kill quest as Raynor falls as well. Li Ming and Lucio falling to the Malthiel, who comes down to punish them for the chase. A 3-for-3 exchange for Better Than Bots and amateur opponents, putting Better Than Bots on the map, a kind of even position on the map. They did lose their fort, that's going to hurt a lot, but they are back on core health. What a rotation from the Malthiel.
What a rotation. Yeah, it looks like the Falstad comes in for a huge engage, and Better Than Bots is able to like set up a good engage, but the amateur opponents was able to make a good turnaround and fight with that rotation on Malthiel.
And it looks like they are going to set up in the bot lane. They have a sapper camp pushing. They want to get those 3 points of core damage here with the sapper camp. So they're going to fight over this bot lane, especially as this objective is spawning in the bot lane. This is going to be hard for Better Than Bots to contest. And that's 10 points of damage if they don't get either of them. Big Condemn goes out, hits 3 of them. Blaze jumping back in onto the Sylvanas, gets the stun out, gets the fire, and amateur opponents just backs up into their tower, not worried about the fight, and they're gonna set up to get these altars real quick to finish those heroics for amateur opponents. We also have Last Rites on Malthiel, Hyperion on Raynor, and Blessed Shield on Joanna. And Raynor gonna cap on his own.
Big fight breaking out over the second objective right here. Entomb comes out.
Yeah, we do see.
Hyperion comes out. Gust comes out.
And Last Rites not going to get much out onto the Leoric. Bad timing, or good dodge on Leoric's side. Lucio keeping the shields and the heals up to prevent that Last Rites from finishing him off. This altar still not getting capped as both teams looking really low. Raynor finally falls to the Lucio and the Falstad. But then Lucio gets caught in the silence from Stukov. A big follow-up, also catching the Falstad. Blaze getting out, leaving behind an oil slick, slowing down amateur opponents on the chase. Leora getting a Drain Hope out. It's going to get broken by Stukov, and Stukov's going to channel. What a crazy back and forth. We went from, what, from 7-3 to 10-5, or 8-3 to 10-5. So a big exchange, or an advantage to amateur opponents still. They gained 10 more shots off of those 2 altars, and it was a 2-for-2 trade on hero kills over that. But the fight, really long and drawn out, a little bit this way, then a little bit that way, and overall, just going in favor of amateur opponents as they struggle to hold on to this fort. At this point, I would just let it fall and then take it back so you can get it back in time for the next altar. They do have sappers moving in. This is going to provide some supplemental damage. They might be able to still push them past this tower before it could completely converge to Better Than Bots. But Better Than Bots going to clear out the sapper camp nice and easy. The Gust goes out, pushing out the heroes and the camp. And it's going to be a standard clear coming out of Better Than Bots. Let's take a
Looks
look
like-
again at this experience. Malthael finally overtaking Leoric on XP, although a lot of that probably coming from the heroes. A big fight over nothing right now in the middle. Silence on the Blaze from the Stukov as Hyperion comes raining down the fire. We see a chase on Raynor onto Falstad. Falstad probably going to get away there into the safety of his tower as the rest of the teams roam up into the top. One team fleeing, one team chasing. And it's going to turn into no kills, but the heroic advantage strong with amateur opponents coming into this next set of objectives. 2 top, 1 at the very bottom. Looks like we have 3 in the bot to cap this altar for amateur opponents, mostly uncontested. Lucio coming down to help. Joanna roaming up, so it's going to be a 2v2 in the bot lane. As Leoric goes to interrupt the Malthael, Blaze looks like he's going to cap on his own. Amateur opponents chasing out the bot lane altar, going to cap. Looks like they're going to be able to get that cap. The Sylvana is zoning off. And amateur opponents able to get the kill on Leoric up in the top. There's so much going on here. I don't know how to show it all to you, but amateur opponents able to get 2 for 1 on those altars. And Raynor running for his life from the Lucio and the Falstad. That's a lot of move speed to catch him. Blaze with the slows, but he runs up. Duck Rogers of the 21st and a half century comes in to stop the chase. It disrupts the Lucio. Stukov with the finish. Blaze combustion coming out. It's gonna be a big slow on the Raynor. Is it gonna be enough though? Slows him down. Lots of dot damage. Big healing from Stukov. Stukov goes down to a huge orb from Li Ming from downtown. Able to finish off Stukov, but the reset not enough to catch the Raynor. Good job getting out by Raynor. Way to stay alive, but a good secure on the Stukov from Lucio as Blaze has to go back.
Yeah, that Raynor was sitting there trying to get away, and then the rotation comes back in. They're able to turn around and engage and pop that Lucio for kind of overstaying. It looks like the amateur opponents go ahead and take their Sapper Camp, and looks like we're just kind of pushing lanes.
Yep, trying to get control again. Better than bots, taking this opportunity to get some clear. They're about to be down a level, but only about half a bar of experience, trying to win the race to level 20, which is when we'll see the last power spikes come out. Leoric, would like to point out Leoric taking Ominous Wrath and Royal Focus, able to severely reduce the teamfight damage that amateur opponents has if he's able to keep his combo off. There he goes. He's going to reduce the damage of 3 of them. Big reduction on Malthael. Then he can get his Q off and do it again as Hyperion comes out the Entomb, stopping the Raynor from getting into the fight. Stukov having to clear off better than bots as Joanna runs away almost dead. Falstad with the catch up onto Malthael. Malthael trying to race strike back onto him and heal up, but not enough as Leoric comes up to help Falstad finish him off. Great rotation from the Leoric to help out his buddy. Condemn coming out from the Joanna. Doc Rogers trying to get the engage. Iron Skin comes out. He's going to have to back off, though. Big orbs coming from Li Ming. You don't want to catch those to the face. They do not feel good. Boostio getting his team out. Looks like they're going to go for the Saber Camp. And it looks like they've kind of taken control of the map now. While the towers are even, they've pushed amateur opponents back off. They're getting this camp. That's going to push a little bit. And they're down by 10 core points, but we've seen all you need is 1, and you can still win the game.
Yeah, that last one's the most important one. It looks like Better Than Bots is sitting there trying to regain map control, and they're actually starting to pressure amateur opponent's bot turret over here now, trying to get the siege going. But that was a really amazing engage with the Gust and the Entomb coming up to block off half of the amateur opponents from showing up to the actual fight.
Yep, Blaze charging in on the Sylvanas. Big stun coming out. The laser coming out from Li Ming. Not going to be enough to finish her off as Stukov heals her back up. Joanna getting caught by the Gust, pinned against the wall. Fantastic Gust coming out from the Falstad. Entomb goes out. Flailing swipe from the Leoric, level 20, or from the Stukov, level 20 improvement there. Leoric going to fall. Joanna falls. Blaze falls. All the big boys are down. Malthael healthy though, going in on the chase, trying to get a finish on that Lucio, as he still only has 3 stacks on that last right. Definitely wants to get some cooldown reduction, and he's looking for an engage. Once this fight breaks up, as this altar is about to spawn, we'll look at those level 20s. They are on the screen for you to take a look at. They are, I'll probably take them down here in just a second as this fight unfolds. If it's a fight, right now it looks like an uncontested altar. So going down better than bots. Blaze has burn notice, buried alive on Lee Auric. Talrasha's Elements on Li Ming, Wind Tunnel on Falstad, and House Party on Lucio. Amateur opponents with Controlled Chaos, Bolt of the Storm on Sylvanas. No One Can Stop Death on Malthael. Execute on Raynor, and we don't know yet from Johanna. Interesting to point out though, Malthael's only died once, still takes No One Can Stop Death. It is a free extra life, even if he doesn't have to use it. It's a great tool to have in his toolkit. Joanna still yet to pick a level 20. What do you think about that, Max?
It looks like she's trying to hold out for the right opportunity. There's plenty of options for Joanna for her level 20, but sometimes you can hold it for just the right moment. If you're about to be a little too aggressive, you can take the
Invincible?
level 20 that gives you, yeah, the one that gives you that big old shield there.
It's a shield equivalent to your health bar for 5 seconds, if you would take fatal damage.
But if she were to take that with Malthael's No One Can Stop Death, it allows their amateur opponents to be a lot more aggressive with their front line in order to get in and make the fights happen how they need to happen.
Almost have 2 extra lives in the reserves. Yeah, that's a really good observation. We do see Indestructible coming out. That is the pick. While chat wanting to see the Blinded by the Light, it doesn't happen. We get the Buried Alive coming out from the Leoric as Blaze trying to get out of trouble. Malthael going to fall first. Hyperion going out as well. Raynor going to fall though after he calls in the dropship. Big combustion coming out from the Blaze. It's going to catch the Joanna. Joanna goes unstoppable, gets the shield. Going to get out with plenty of health. Not enough to re-engage, but enough to feel comfortable about staying alive. Stukov trying to keep the rest of his team up as the Drain Hope goes out onto him. This is a 2-altar objective that Better Than Bots has come in strong for. A huge advantage here. They don't even have Falstad with them. He goes down to cap that siege camp, then comes up with the fly just in time for the cap, and he's going to help zone his team while Lucio and Li Ming go to cap the altar. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a boss play here soon. They're up 5-3. Malthael hanging on to that No One Can Stop Death, probably saving it.
Yeah, I was about to mention that. Like, objective's coming up, and Malthael dies pretty early in that fight, and he could have come back in with No One Can Stop Death. So I was wondering why he held on to it for a 2-altar objective.
Absolutely, really interesting to see. He is alive now. This boss getting capped as Amateur opponents goes to take the bot lane. Next objectives are down around the bot lane. A good time to pick up this tower. This top tower going to fall. Just not as much weight as the bottom one right now based on where the objectives are. So that's a tower trade for both teams. And I would definitely be surprised if, in the case that Malthael dies here, that he doesn't use amateur opponents. These 2 altars decide the game.
It looks like a bush gank right here.
Absolutely.
Looks like amateur opponents comes out, but gets denied by that Falstad gas.
Yeah, and then that Wailing Arrow goes out from the Sylvanas. Raynor going to fall. Buried Alive comes out, silencing the Malthael. Stukov able to keep his working arm out. Gets the big silence going to help his team recover. Leoric and Lucio and Blaze also fall. Malthael does too after the Last Rites goes out, so Last Rites able to finish off the Blaze. That is a 3 for 2. Amateur opponents has the advantage coming into this. As we look, these sapper camps are about to push in, so really amateur opponents only needs to catch 1 altar to get the 4 core points, because Better Than Bots only has 3 left. There's the return on Malthael. These objectives are about to spawn. Li Ming and Falstad have to disrupt 2 altars, but Falstad's the only one in range, and Malthael's going to cap top for the game. GG Game 1. Amateur opponents looking for a strong return from Better Than Bots. They played really well. They came back really strong, and that last fight just went in favor of amateur opponents.
Yeah, it was a really explosive team fight as well, and it looked like to be the deciding factor here, because it looked like for a minute that while being on the back foot, Better Than Bots looked like they were rallying forward, that they could have really actually won that. and that last team fight just kind of took the wind out from underneath them, unfortunately, as amateur opponents was able to secure the kills and map presence for those last two altars.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sorry I missed it, Duke, but coming from the chat, here we go. Could end. Great opportunity for amateur opponents to end. Good game right there. And definitely looking forward to game 2. And so while we're waiting on the teams to figure out the next game, if we look at the stats, Better Than Bots really bringing out the damage. Really, I don't have you. Where are you? Now I have you. No, that was my fault. I was on a different thing. I have you back. Welcome back, Nadri. Glad to have you. What a game though, huh? The numbers heavily favor Better Than Bots, except for healing. Stukov kind of, as we've talked about before, sets the bar for healing. Lucio has a lot of shielding that kind of gets accounted for, but I mean, it gets accounted for, but not really, because if it doesn't get used, you don't really look at healing that doesn't get used, but you count healing that doesn't get used, but you don't count shielding that doesn't get used. So that might be a factor. But what really stands out to you out of this this stat page? I lost you, bud. I don't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Welcome back.
I really liked how the Better Than Bots tried to, in a variety of ways, use that Falstad Gust to make some explosive team fights happen, blowing either part of amateur opponents out of the team fight and locking them out with like the Entomb, or blowing them into a big combustion by that blaze. But it looks like they weren't really able to get much value out of their burst damage, as amateur opponents was able to draw out this fights and use like that Jimmy and the Malthuel to get really good damage over time and to secure those kills, especially with the Malthuel ult coming out. So it looks like amateur opponents was really able to just kind of make deciding team fights happen.
Yeah, it definitely. Sorry, excuse me. Something's caught in my throat. Definitely good utilization out of that Gust, and especially when they put them in the wall too. I really like seeing a Gust put a team in a wall and just suppress them for the entire duration of that Gust, but they're not moving because there's a wall there. So it's almost like a big AoE stun coming out too. So really good use there. But overall, I mean, well executed by amateur opponents, as we see. Little risky plays here and there. A few risky plays here and there towards the end that allowed Better Than Bots to come back. But again, you can only come back if you execute properly around it. So good seizing of opportunity from Better Than Bots as well.
Yeah, I really liked the use of Stukov's ult there to kind of slap away Better Than Bots, to kind of peel off and delay out some of those fights so that the Jimmy can just really get time to do his damage, so that the Malthuel can get his percent damage over time done, and really just kind of set up for those big fights at the end.
Yeah, and again, just showing you these talents, or these heroic talents and storm tier talents before we move on, just so you can get one last look at these builds, and we will be right back with the map. Keep it here for more NGS. And we do have a decision. It is going to be the map pick of Volskaya Foundry coming from amateur opponents, meaning Better Than Bots does have the first pick. And let's see who they pick with it. I've said it every time a team takes first pick, you have to have a first pick in mind. What first pick do you think we'll see coming out of better than bots on Volskaya Foundry?
There's a lot to look at. Li Ming probably comes to mind if they could probably pick up that Li Ming again because she was able to do a lot of damage, and when the resets kind of go, it can be really explosive, especially when you have to sit on the point, allowing her to just kind of really come out and deal that damage. So the Li Ming might be something they might try to secure again. That Leoric though also was pretty solid with trying to set up some those team fights within Tomb. So if it were up to me, it'd be probably one of those two. What do you think about amateur opponents though? What do you think they're gonna try to ban? To try to
I think
deny it? Do you think there can be any respect bans?
Leoric, absolutely Leoric, played really well, very disruptive, and I think the way that Leoric played is worth the ban, absolutely.
Yeah, it was he was able to do double soaking fairly efficiently, maybe not as efficiently as the Malthael, but
But
it was
that's
still
because of move
working
speed.
very well. That's because of the movement speed. But being able to just be off the presence all over the map, getting all that experience and maintaining map pressure and those team fights. When he comes up and shows up for those fights, especially with that Entomb, it's very disruptive. It's very big engages off of that Entomb. So I would suspect that would be either a pick or ban again here.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing to look at. Looks like we're waiting on a couple of issues before we get going into this game. But yeah, so great game one, and lots of really cool involvement from chat. I'm really glad to see the fans turning out for amateur opponents and better than bots. And it's just a really lively place to be. So I'm glad everyone's having a good time. And it looks like we are about ready to go in to the draft. So let's see what's happening. Here we go. Welcome to
again, we're on
Overwatch.
Volskaya Industry Foundry.
Yeah, she says Volskaya Industry, but it is Volskaya Foundry.
Again, we see that Lunara ban coming out and pretty quickly
That
too. It
has
sounds
to
like
be
a target ban.
Has to be. I agree. And Greymane again. I mean, Greymane's kind of a solid ban. In general, he's a lot of damage. But definitely, sorry, that's my knee, folks. I got a weird little, trying to pop it, it's not working. We see the same bans coming out: Lunara, Greymane, Deathwing.
Hey, bans in the same order. It looks like the teams want to maintain their position on what they want off the table.
Right, so clearly what we thought was very impactful, not as impactful as they think these target bans would be. Interested to see if Better Than Bots adjust here in this last second for something else. And there goes their own Li Ming being banned out.
It looks like they might have something else on their mind, and they don't want to give up that Li Ming.
I guess I must be I might have been misinformed. I misunderstood. It looks like Better Than Bots chose the map pick, and Amateur Opponents has the first pick. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna see if I can clarify that shortly. And they do pick the Joanna first.
Yeah, we do see that Joanna come out again. She was able to be a big wall and able to just kind of really set the pace for a lot of these team fights. And those blinds coming out were really impactful as well.
And we hear Sylvanas and Deckard Cain coming out as well. I say here because I'm looking down for a moment to just get some clarification. But Sylvanas and Deckard Cain really big here. Anytime that you, again, without repeating over and over again that Sylvanas is strong in this season, when you have a map that has a distinctive push down a lane with an objective, especially
with like a big vehicle objective.
yeah, with a vehicle that you can control, then being able to shut down those structures is very important.
It allows you to get more value out of that objective that you're getting. It looks like amateur opponents is going to pick up the Stukov and the Rainer again. And we're on our second set of bans now as well. And we again see the Mephisto getting banned. The Mephisto is just a lot of AoE damage and a really big player on the scene at this time. So it's no surprise he gets banned. And Variant again gets banned. It looks like identical bans from last game. So let's see what Veteran Bots wants to pick up in the second round of draft.
So yes, Better Than Bots did pick the map. So and giving the amateur opponents first pick. So Better Than Bots not looking for a specific first pick. They wanted to be able to counter and get the home team advantage as far as location goes. Junkrat coming out for the Dude Man, and we see the Blaze come out again for Crafty Trent, whereas we see pretty much the same team coming out of amateur opponents. So this is going to be interesting adjustment. And there's
looks like amateur opponents is going to end up picking up the Leoric this time, along with Orphea. So that's actually pretty exciting. Amateur opponents is going to take the Leoric this time. I want to see how that actually interacts with the team comp that Better Than Bots is picking up, because Better Than Bots is actually making some changes as well. What do you think about the Deckard and the Junkrat as opposed to?
I love the Deckard here because of how large the area is. Getting potions set out. A Nubarak, an interesting pick to finish out the team. Gonna provide some decent front lining. I think the Deckard Kane has a lot of good forward healing and defensive healing, especially if he goes Ruby at level 4. So being able to being able to get those potions out forward for the tanks and back for the Sylvanas and the Junkrat, really good area control. Junkrat's really strong right now as well. Lots of poke, lots of harass, and able to dump people off of the platform.
Yeah, and then it looks like Better Than Bots is going to actually be looking like they're double tanking, and I want to see kind of how that works out for them and see if they can get enough CC in on that Rainer to shut him down, or if the Rainer is going to be able to go loose again like he did last game. It looks like we're going to start loading into game 2, and on for the amateur opponent side, playing Orphea, we're going to have
Yep. Oh yeah, zoning in makes that a little bit hard. I'm sorry.
Yeah, give me a second. Yeah, loading in for a second. On the Rainer, we're going to have Cactus Ham. On Stukov, we have Butte Holiday. On Leoric, we have Street Terminator. On Joanna, we have Duck Rogers. And on Orphea, we have Sonic Spro 33.
Go ahead.
Who do we have on Better Than Bots?
10 seconds.
Go ahead and run us down the other side.
Oh, for Better Than Bots, it looks like we're going to have Crafty Trent on Blaze, Dr. Evil 12 on Sylvanas, Megan 420 on Deckard Kane, the Dude Man on Junkrat, and Evil Alto on Nubarak.
All right, and there is a poll in chat, and Max, I'm going to ask you the same question. Who drafted better?
I'm gonna say that I like the set up for later game team fights and amateur opponents, and it looks like we have an explosive fight coming out already in the bot lane.
A Nubarak falling his first blood, getting caught out early. Better Than Bots going for the same type of advantage into the bot lane with the Sylvanas taking, but they do get that first tower, but at the cost of their tank. A Nubarak gonna fall early in the middle of the lane, not able to get out, even with his escape. A good turnaround from amateur opponents, able to seize an opportunity that could have been sad.
It looks like we're gonna get some like standard laning kind of going on. We have the Junkrat clearing out against the Leoric, and then they might be left on bot lane. We've got some rotations kind of up on top on that Nubarak, the Orphea and the Joanna going in, but he's gonna get out pretty unscathed here. We got both teams starting to pick up their turret camps over here. We've got Sylvanas and Deckard on the Better Than Bots side picking up their turret, along with Stukov and Rainer picking up their turret for the amateur opponent side.
Yep, definitely looking to see these turrets being picked up a lot. Frequently, often, those are the same words, but as much as possible, this is a map that really utilizes the toys over the objective, as the turrets providing a lot of output and zoning control. The biotic emitter, very defensive, able to turn a fight. Anubrek jumping in into a 1v4, really bold
Fighting off more than
positioning.
he can chew.
I like the gumption, but amateur opponents just showing him that that's maybe not the move that they want to see out of him.
Yeah, they were able to collapse in. Sometimes in these early levels, you expect that the tanks are able to walk away with being able to get a little bit more aggressive like that, because your DPS can't like shut them down that quickly. But amateur opponents is really showing how wrong he was with that assumption. It looks like we're just kind of getting back and forth rotations between mid lane and top lane for both teams as we kind of wait around for the objectives to come up.
Yeah, I think it's odd that Junkrat's in the solo lane, though. I would expect maybe the Blaze in the solo lane against the Leoric, but Junkrat able to escape with double-digit health. Sylvanas coming in to try to help out. Junkrat providing that support. Leoric also maybe a little overextended. Anubrek coming in to stop as well. The unstoppable Wraithwalk and the catch from Anubrek in front of the gate. What a catch by Better Than Bots. Leoric going in hard. Not quite hard enough to finish off the Junkrat, but he does force a three-man rotation to the bot, well, two-man rotation to the bot lane, pulling off some of the pressure from amateur opponents up at the top.
Yeah, it looks like the objective is going to be contested as this Joanna is just sitting here. She's able to just stand and soak all this damage and contest the objective while her team kind of rotates in. She's able to sit there and soak up all that abuse and not look worse for the wear for it.
Really good siege camp timing coming out of amateur opponents as they force Sylvanas and Blaze to sit in the top lane to defend it instead of letting it push into that fort, giving them 4-man, 5-man pressure on the objective into the 3-man defense, chasing off Better Than Bots, who wasn't able to get any progress. So now the timer ticking up for amateur opponents, and we do see a pause, probably some sort of connectivity issue as Leoric has left the game. They are at, sorry, he's playing on a Mac, Butte Holiday says. That says it all. So this is a really interesting objective here on Volskaya Industry. You hold the objective for however long it takes to fill up the bar, and you can make it go back and forth. Najer, you want to tell us a little bit more about the mechanic of the objective?
So the objective has a 5-second tick up time where you have to stand on the objective without any other opponents on the objective before you can start controlling the objective. And I believe it ticks up 1% per second, meaning you have to sit on the objective for roughly 90 seconds before you actually win that objective. And so both teams are able to like contest the objective. It will continue to tick up after it's kind of done its wind up without any opponents on it until it hits 99, where there will be an overtime at 99%, where you cannot win the objective if there's an enemy sitting on it at that 99% until one of the teams is pushed off the objective. So it's all about like zone control, and that's why we like the toys on this map, like the turrets and the bio emitter. Because they can just give out that like zone area presence for a long time, and that's kind of what you need for this objective, is sit in one spot and kind of hold it.
All right, and we are back into the game. Looks like Leoric is present. We'll look at these talents again as amateur opponents has kind of zoned off most of their team. Better Than Bots looking to come in as Blaze trying to catch up to the rest of his team. And we will notice that these objectives have a set rotation. They start in the mid lane, then it goes to the top lane, then it goes to the bottom lane. So look for these objectives to be taken to the next lane, or to the lane for the next objective once it's captured. Big engage by Better Than Bots. The Scroll of Sealing not going to land from Deckard. Good dodge by amateur opponents. And the condemn goes out. We are now in overtime for amateur opponents. Control of the Triglav Protector as a big root goes out onto the Joanna. Nubrek caught by the Stukov. The biotic emitter goes down, keeping Joanna alive. Blaze trying to get out. He doesn't have enough health to. Tries to heal off of his oil slick, but not quite enough. Leoric getting blasted off the platform by the Junkrat and dies on landing to Sylvanas. And a 4-for-2 exchange for amateur opponents. A good dodge on the engage from Better Than Bots, and then countering it. Amateur opponents taking it decisively.
Yeah, I liked how they were able to like really get in there and kind of do their damage over time, because that was a long protracted fight, and that Jimmy just kind of really starts shining when you get in there with those fights like that. And if he's left to his own devices, he will just kind of get in there and tear up the enemies.
Butte Holiday on the Stukov, driving the Protector, goes right in, takes that top tower, goes around the gate through the wall, and takes that health fountain. Going to be a big impact in this next objective, as that health fountain will no longer serve support for Better Than Bots going into that next, going in to that Triglav Protector zone control. And so they'll have to go all the way back to the base to heal up if they need to sit. Hyperion goes out as a... Yes, look, this big fight while amateur opponents has their tens. Hyperion comes out, flailing swipe as well as the Triglav Protector was being destroyed. So a good counter engage on the Triglav Protector dying, where normally Better Than Bots would be able to take advantage of the lonely heroes, but amateur opponents sticking together to get their fellows out. What were you saying, Nadri?
I was talking about the tens coming out, and then I was gonna go into the tomb, and you kind of took the fight. So. Oh,
sorry. I missed
it looks like Better Than Bots is gonna go ahead and take their siege camp, and amateur opponents is gonna be taking the bio-emitter chip. So it looks like we're kind of establishing map presence here on both sides of the team.
Yeah, that siege camp going to push in for Better Than Bots. This is I don't usually like the timing of this camp, except that we're going into the top objective next, so you want to go and get that push early because it's going to get cleared during the rotation up for the objective, so getting it sooner, I say, is better now. Looking to see amateur opponents get there soon, but they are sitting on their turret camp. Junkrat trying to scout, Orphea clearing out that siege camp, easy peasy, no problem whatsoever. And we get a rotation into the bot lane from Better Than Bots. Both teams kind of looking around, looking for an opportunity. 3v3 in the mid lane. Make it 4 as Decker Kane shows up. He's slow. Oh, my bad. That is Decker Kane. We see the barbed wire come out and scroll the ceiling. It's going to get some damage on the gate, but amateur opponents did back out in time. They're not going to get caught by that as we get a hard engage from Anubrak onto the Orphea, catching her out. Diving in is Sylvanas. Anubrak getting the kill. Orphea getting deleted on that gank. Gank successful for Better Than Bots.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty beautiful 5-man rotation on Better Than Bots.
Yep, definitely like seeing that coordinated type of lane control. Looks like they are also going to do the same to Leoric. Leoric able to go unstoppable and bolt out of there, kind of front-loading the damage he's going to take and then avoiding the rest, because they either had to go with his ghost to catch him or put all the damage out that they can where he was. And 5-man in the mid lane for amateur opponents, as they then don't. They back off. We do see Ruby on the Decker Kane. Y'all noticed it before I did looking at talents. I haven't quite taken a huge look at them, but given that we are level 13 and this objective is about to spawn, let's look at level 10s. We have Combustion, Wailing Arrow, Stay a While, Listen, Riptire, and Cocoon. Going into Hyperion, Flailing Swipe, Entomb, Blessed Shield, and Eternal Feast. The Eternal Feast kind of surprises me, although the Entomb and Blessed Shield combo can be really huge, but Eternal Feast usually not taken by Orpheus.
Yeah, that Entomb can really easily make it where they have to sit and eat all that feast for as long as it takes before they can get any kind of dashes or flashes up over the wall. It looks like the team fight's actually going to go ahead and start here. The Entomb coming out, the Eternal Feast coming up right on top of it. Hyperion comes out.
Just like you were talking about. And that Hyperion finishing up the Flame Fight did go out. we see a dash in, or the Wraithwalk from Leoric to get back across the map. Engaging on the Joanna, Condemn comes out. Surprised that it's still only 1-1 on the kills, but that kill on Decker Kane, exactly like you were predicting with the Entomb and the Eternal Feast. Amateur opponents taking advantage. So, objective now in control of amateur opponents. Really good fight coordination from them as they're catching up on progress and also getting the biotic emitter as well. Really good way to divide up the teamwork. However, they do.
Bots can come as Internal Feast comes out. The Stay a while and listen comes out. The swipes come out. Big explosive fight. It looks like Leoric's gonna die. Joanna dies. Manubarak dies. The fight continues going. The Rip Tower comes out, secures another kill. Then the Stukov comes down, and Veteran Bots comes out on top here. And it looks like they're going to be able to come and cap this objective uncontested. That was a good catch on that bioemitter chip.
Yeah, I was really surprised, honestly. So amateur opponents divvying up the team a little bit while Better Than Bots was recovering. Sylvanas getting some pressure on this top lane, or on this top fort with the siege camp while amateur opponents is reviving. I thought it was a really good play to go for the biotic emitter while they had time to, but they weren't able to take it down in time. Better Than Bots getting a huge engage and just unloading on amateur opponents. Amateur opponents didn't have time to even turn around into that fight, and they just got melted by all those heroics.
Yeah, and Better Than Bots is going to go ahead and take the objective and kind of tag mid lane right here as they work their way down bot where the next objective is going to show up. The Junkrat has already started on these structures down here, while the Trigoff is going to come maybe finish off this fort, being the first fort of the game. They're going to back off as the amateur opponents kind of really steps up and shows that they don't want this fort to fall, not just yet.
I'm really surprised that Sylvanas is in the Protector instead of out for disables. Although she did use it on that top fort that did just now fall. First fort of the game going top to Better Than Bots. The Stay a While and Listen, big from Decker Kane, but Leoric able to Wraithwalk out and not get slept. Root goes and lands on Joanna. Joanna getting out with almost no health. The poison damage ticking. Not enough heals comes out from the Stukov to keep him alive. So Sylvanas getting credit for 2 kills there. Leoric falling to Junkrat bombs as well. As Orpheus struggling to get out of a cocoon. Eternal Feast goes out to try to stay alive, but she's stuck in that one spot. Lots of damage out on that Eternal Feast, but it's not going to quite be enough for her to stay up as Better Than Bots 4-0s amateur opponents after the Triglav Protector goes down.
Yeah, they're really able to just sit and call out their targets and focus them down one at a time, and they were able to burst down the Joanna, and then once that wall kind of falls, it's easy for them to pick up the kills on amateur opponents. So they're going to rotate mid and take that mid fort as well, and maybe even rotate top to take this siege camp to deny it from amateur opponents.
Yep, they do steal the siege camp. That's gonna get cleared pretty quick, but it's gonna put some pressure on that tower. Amateur opponents kind of on the back foot right now. They're down 2 levels. They're on the same talent tier advantage. They have a really hard engage, but these roots are really giving them a lot of trouble. Great roots by Deckard Kane. How does amateur opponents come back into this game?
They've really got to try to set the pace of the team fights. It feels like they've been kind of caught maybe a little bit too spread out or like on the engage on Better Than Bots, because Better Than Bots is able to come out and just really begin the engages and make their calls. If amateur opponents is able to dictate the fight and set it up the way they want to fight, it's going to allow them to allow this like Rainer and Orchid to deal the damage. Then
Yep. I think that's exactly right. They need to stop getting caught by that root. Although it's kind of hard when you have Anubarak and Blaze just
just be
diving
really
in
disruptive.
and super disruptive. Junkrat also providing a little bit of disrupt. Just Key, thank you for the raid. 9 folks coming in from yours. I hope you had a great stream. How was the match, bud? And then amateur opponents grouping back up in the mid lane. Better than bots, kind of some more of the same. And Anubrak looking for that catch. The good dodge from Joanna on the barbs coming out of Anubrak, as both teams just still trying to clear, trying to keep the map in their favor. It's
level
a
20
dance.
start to come out for better than bots as his objective starts to drop for bot lane, but it looks like amateur opponents is going to try to collapse in on this Anubarak.
This is gonna be
And
a
if they can
big
get this catch, it'll be big for them. But it looks like
Morphia dancing in, and they get the toy from Anubarak, like taking candy from a baby. They steal the toy from the beetle. The Eternal Feast goes out. Not going to get a whole lot of damage on the Blaze. Blaze staying alive. It is a full 5-man in the top lane, and they don't have level 20. Even though they got the catch, I would be very surprised to see them come fight over this objective, but I would not be surprised to see them come defend this keep that Sylvanas and Drekard are pushing on their own. Sylvanas looking a little hungry for that keep, does Bolt of the Storm out. That is her level 20 talent that I'll show you in just a second. Able to get away from amateur opponents before getting engaged on a good escape by Sylvanas. Burn Notice on the Blaze, Bolt of the Storm on Sylvanas. Respect the Elderly for the Silence of the Blind on Deckard Payne, I should say. We have extra oomph on Junkrat, got to get that oomph and oomph. And you have Hardened Shield on Anubrak. Still waiting on those level 20s from amateur opponents. They're coming into this 4v5. Anubrak's about to come up. They did manage to zone them off, but I would not be too brazen about it, really, as soon as Anubrak shows up, it's a 5v5, Storm tier talent down, and 2 levels.
but even still, it looks like better than bots is still going to respect the fact that there's a 5-man presence, and they're going to kind of back off the objective and let amateur opponents get some progress. But amateur opponents are respecting the level 20s and trying to farm out that level 20 before they come really contest this objective here.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're posturing here
there
for our
it is.
next
There's
fight.
level 20. Look for a hard engage to hit overtime. Joanna got to get in there in 2 seconds, basically. Just in time as we tip over into overtime. Let's see these level 20s come out. These ultimate advantages equal. Cocoon goes down on the Stukov. Stukov gets out. There's the Ruby gems come out. All the toys being dropped. Buried alive. Catching the Deckard Payne from the Leorg. The Feast on top of the Biotic Emitter, going to kill it. Lots of damage on the Sylvanas. She's not able to get out because of the conveyor belt and the turrets. Sylvanas falling as no, that's her turret that she was empowering with Mercenary Queen. A big engage coming out of amateur opponents. They take out the Sylvanas, but the Orvia and the Joanna also fall, and so does Leoric. It looked like it was going to go their way at first, but better than bots, able to turn it around. Rainer falls as well. We see a 4-for-1. Stukov, unfortunately, not going to survive this escape. 5-for-1, better than bots, taking the objective, going to march to this keep, and based off of death timers and level 22, probably going to take the core as well.
Yeah, that was an explosive team fight out of better than bots. We did see a lot of good ult combinations with like the Entomb and the Internal Feast, but it just looked like it wasn't enough as the CC comes out from the Nuvarak web and the Blaze coming in, and the Deckard Payne really able to set his team up, was kind of stay a while.
Yeah, here comes Duck Rogers of the 21st and a half century, bringing the Condemned, trying to get some damage out. Buried alive, keeping the Junkrat stuck. Eternal Feast again, going to just wipe out that Junkrat. He gets a big heal off of Deckard Payne, lots of potions out. Riptire, big disrupt, and Joanna getting bounced away as the core falls to better than bots. That sounds like a game 3.
That's what it sounds like.
And here we are at your NGS game summary, and of course my button's not working. Max, I seem to have lost you. There's the oh, you closed the thing. So what a great game, and better than bots coming back in really good form to take back this game too.
Yeah, it was very strong presence that they showed. You needed to hold the point for the objective, and it looks like with the two tanks and a lot of AoE burst damage from the Sylvanas and the more importantly the Junkrat was really able to just kind of lock down members of amateur opponents and allow the Junkrat and the Sylvanas to just really get in there and do what they needed to do. Amateur opponents had a really solid game plan with their team fight and how they wanted to go about it. But the two tanks were very disruptive and making it very difficult for that plan to come together. Is there any like picks in particular that you would like look at that really shined in that game there, Taco?
I think so. Decker Kane's healing was a little bit lower than I expected. However, the presence was there. You saw those potions sitting around all over the place. Thank you, Stoic, coming in with those posture checks, back-to-back posture checks. Um, the Decker Kane healing could probably improve, but I think the presence was there. Those roots were huge engages, and I think pivotal in those fights. So I would not be surprised to see Deckard be removed. The combo between Leoric and Orphea also very big. But I don't know how you. I think if you get rid of the Leoric, you get rid of the combo altogether. Although we've seen other ways to make that combo happen, it's not that popular, especially with that heroic. So I don't think, other than the consistent Joanna Stukov Rainer, I don't think there's something that we would target out of or to target from amateur opponents.
I think the team comps there with the Leoric and the Orphea was really kind of a function of the map that they're trying to play into, because you really have to sit there and command the point, and so it's really easy to grab several people in on that entomb and follow up with the internal feast. And so it looks like they were trying to play their hand into the map. It just looks like the Better Than Bots has had a better what's the word I'm looking
Area
for? Execution, I think, with what
Execution.
they were trying to accomplish there.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely played it better. I think both teams had really good engages, and Better Than Botch just made their engages count. Duke Zach, happy Taco Tuesday to you as well. Here at twitch.tv/El every day is Taco Tuesday, but we want to make them all feel special. Yeah. So I also think it's interesting, as we come over here and look at the maps, both teams have won a map, both teams have picked a map, and both teams have lost the map they picked.
That is kind of amusing.
Amusing's a word for it.
It looks like the lobby is created for the next round, and the next map is going to end up being Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Tomb of the Spider Queen is a fun map. It's a cash map for sure. Very lane present. We're gonna have a lot of fights in the lanes. Some will be over the turn-in, but most of those will digress into the lanes, I'm pretty sure. So look for being able to have a lot of clear. Stoic, I get it. Thank you. So amateur opponents picking the map, it looks like, as and giving the first pick of the draft to Better Than Bots. So interesting decision there. Oh, nope, neither team has won it. Ignore the win on that. I jacked that up. No one has won the map that we're about to play, which is Tomb of the Spider Queen. So let's that's awkward. But overall a fun map to see, and I'm interested to see how it turns out. I am going to just leave my mess up there and not make any changes, or I will. Let's see. We have... Why is there not a clear button on that? Because I could clear all the maps and then I'd have to remember everything to put it back. That's what a picture's for. So, how do you think we draft differently given the drastic change in playstyle for this map?
So one of the things to consider is that you have to get the gems in order to unlock the objective. And one of the biggest considerations with holding those gems is that if you hold too many, you kind of paint a target on your head. So it might make the teams want to play a little bit more safer. And then you also want to be able to follow up on the spiders once they drop in order to siege. So you might see more characters able to siege and play safe so that they can keep those gems and push with their spider queens, uh, spiders when they drop, or alternately have like some sort of wave clear in order to defeat the enemy spiders once they pay up for their side of the objective. So I suspect we may get a Sylvanas ban here. But I wouldn't be surprised if they stick true to how they wanted to do their ban strategies for the past two games identically already, but we may see some change here. Do you think you have any opinions on what the first pick is going to end up being, though? What's going to be like point of contention?
Uh, Joanna again. Joanna has a lot of presence here, able to be that money bags and stay alive through it.
No, yeah, I agree. You need to be safe when you're picking up those gems because if you can't turn them in immediately, if the enemy team is kind of blocking you from turning, then you need to be able to be safe with those gems. Because if you die with a large number of them, then you lose them and you kind of fall behind. So this is definitely a map with a sort of snowball-like effect if you're able to eliminate enemies with gems in their pockets.
All right, it looks like everyone is ready. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely agree. This is the most economic map in the game. So,
I mean, there's Pirate Bay
Spider Queen.
with actual gold coins. Booty
You're-
Bay.
you're right, but one, Booty Bay, Blackheart's Bay, Booty Bay, definitely not in the rotation for NGS. Also, you're not talking about nearly as much in gems. Gems definitely more valuable than gold coins. Gems not, or more gems than coins. And so I would say this is the most economic map.
I'm going to begin with Greymane as the first being banned. It
So
looks like,
standard.
yeah, it looks like we have a pretty standard ban for now because we're going to have that Lunara
Lunara.
be banned again.
So what are we gonna see? Mephisto and Varian banned again?
Li Ming actually this time.
Ming. Interessante. Before Stoic checks me again with that posture check, let me sit back up during draft. Stoic, I promise I'm going to lay back in this chair as far as I can once I take us off camera. And Joanna coming out as a ban for amateur opponents, not wanting her to be the first ban, or the first pick
Your
rather,
first
for
pick.
the same things that we were just talking about. I imagine is the thought process behind it.
Yeah, it's definitely a solid ban. I'm just wondering what the first pick is going to end up being on the side of Better Than Bots. It's going to be that Sylvanas flyer. She has a lot of pushing power, and she can, again, with these big objectives, disable forts and turrets in order to allow you to get more value out of the objective when it drops. And then she's also able to help clean up when the objective is pushing against you. So all around, solid pick, especially if she's able to be left unattended on any of the side lanes for any amount of time. So it's almost a no-brainer that she ends up getting picked up again for Better Than Bots, which I believe has picked her up all 3 games so far.
Yes, Sylvanas is very popular. Again, like we were talking about, she's a very present hero during this season. Jaina and Anna being picked up for amateur opponents, going away from that Stukov pick this time. Very interesting.
Yeah, I believe, if I remember correctly, Anna was banned for the first game as well. So it looks like they were able to let the Anna pick to go through.
And we
It
see
looks like
a Nubrak Blaze
Better Than
again.
Bots is going to pick up both Nubarak and Blaze again. That disruptive wall that they had for the last match. It looks like it worked for them last game, and they wanted to make it work again this game.
Yeah, it did work out very well. Very disruptive combo, able to get a hard engage and keep people from running away, especially with a low mobility hero like Jaina and Anna. Well, Jaina has a lot of suppression with her slows. If you can't get, if she can't get away, then she can't get away, you know?
Yeah,
So
they
once
can't
she's
catch ya.
engaged on, she's stuck. She either kills you or she's stuck.
Amateur opponents gonna end up banning that Junkrat away. They're seeing that team comp come from Volskaya again, and they wanted to shut that down. I believe the other threat that the veteran bots has was Junkrat, and they don't want to see that again. And now we have the ETC being banned out by Better Than Bots, which we actually hadn't seen picked at all this match so far. Why do you think they banned the ETC over anything else? Like the variant.
So the most popular tanks I've seen during NGS are Joanna ETC, and since Better Than Bots has not been playing Joanna, or has not, or well, Better Than Bots was planning to go Blaze in Anubrak clearly, with the Joanna ban out of amateur opponents. This team over here, except over here, if you're looking at me and not me looking at this, ETC is definitely the ban here. Garage also really big on this map though, so. I think it's just these are both really big threat tanks, and we had to get rid of one. Garage able to force people to be out of position. I think the Blaze and Nubrak makes that a little bit safer, and Falstad's able to escape, so they weren't as, and so is Sylvanas, so they weren't as worried about it as a big suppression from ETC.
And then we have the Deckard and the Falstad coming out, and the Falstad was very impactful in that first game with that Gus, and I'm excited to see some Gus plays again.
And Malthiel coming back out for amateur opponents. So we'll have a 4-man in the bot lane with a double soak top.
So I believe you're already putting out the votes here, but who do you think won draft this time around?
See, you're asking me while I'm trying to put out the vote, so that's interesting. The poll is up. Who drafted better than bots or amateur opponents? I'm a big Sylvanas fan. I'm a big Deckard Kane fan. I'm also a fan of Anna. I like the Garrosh combo. So
is it Anna or Anna?
She says Anna. I say Anna because there's only one N. So you know what? It's just gonna be whatever I end up saying at the time. If you'll accept those conditions.
That's fine.
So, amateur opponents has a pick comp, absolutely strong pick comp. So
absolutely, especially with the Garrosh, and then the when ults come out for Malthiel, the Reapers. What's it called again?
Last Rites.
Last Rites will be good for securing those
real
kills.
Quick, it's gone now, but I did want to point out we missed it all 3 games. The portrait synergy for both teams on point, absolutely phenomenal. Just had to mention it. Overall, I think when we're looking at a team comp like this, if amateur opponents can execute their picks, they absolutely win. If they don't get the pick, then the team fight clearly goes to Better Than Bots. Speaking of better,
want to go ahead and introduce the team?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of Better Than Bots, we got Cratch Train on Blaze, Dude Man on Falstad, Megan 420 on the Deckard Payne, Evil Alto on Anubarak, and Dr. Evil on Sylvanas.
And then over on amateur opponents, we're gonna have Butte Holiday on Anna, Saint Terminator on Malthiel, Cactus Ham on Jaina. Duck Rogers playing that Garrosh, and Sonic Spro on Raynor. Say again?
Of the Duck Rogers of the 21st and a half century. Lots of fans for Better Than Bots in the chat. We'll take a look at that poll again here in a minute or so. As both teams seem to be going up to the top lane. We'll see just solo soaking in the bot lane, Falstad versus Malthiel, and we'll see 4-man rotations in the top 2 lanes, it looks like. Root going out from Deckard Payne, stopping all 3 from following up the evil Alto Anubrak sleepy time coming out of the Anna. Nice sleep from her. Really good counter engage from Anubrak. Way to suppress him. And here comes the amateur opponent fans as well. And yes, definitely a shout out for Deckard Payne. Is he Deckard Payne because he's always in pain, or like is that an arthritis thing, or what do you think?
There's a movie called Major Payne back in the day, and it was this army movie, and Major Payne was like this super, heroic Green Beret guy, and I think it's in reference to that, sort of.
Well, aren't you just a fun runner? Root goes out onto Raynor, and the Burrow coming out from Anubarak. As we look at these level 1 talents before they get their level 4s. And I'm just going to scroll over them, let y'all see as Max tells us about this action.
So it looks like both teams are trying to rotate back and forth between the two lanes because it's a small map, and there's a lot of skirmishes going on between the two rotations. But it looks like Nubrak's going to go ahead and try to turn in on the side of better than bots, but amateur opponents isn't really having it. And we've got a skirmish over the turn-in point and both of these lanes on top and mid. Garrosh tries to get the pick on Nubrak, but Nubrak is able to burrow out of that. And both teams are kind of going in for turn-in here.
So far, this poll is winding down here soon. It's a tie vote between Better Than Bots and amateur opponents on who has the better draft. Chat, there's so many of y'all in there. There's not very many votes. Get in there. Who drafted better? Let's get that feedback before it disappears. Not much time left. Tie vote. I'm not a fan of that.
It looks like both teams right now are going to be going ahead and going over their bruiser camps, and it looks like the timing is almost at the same time here at the 3-minute mark.
Yeah, these bruiser camps, big down the mid lane, lots of pressure. Getting them at the same time mainly just gives them their own XP advantage. Their own XP, disabling, countering each other's XP advantage from them. I don't think they're going to push very much in any one direction. However, this siege camp that Faust had just capped down to the bot lane could be a whole different story. Malthiel there to contest it, though. And Anubrak making his presence known to Garrosh. Garrosh saying, hey, I'm here too. I got stuns as well. The poll is in. The poll has expired. Better Than Bots, amateur opponents, tie vote. This is exactly what we want to see out of a Game 3 when no one knows what's going to happen. So I accidentally clicked the spider altar. Turns out it has 509,000 health. So that's a thing.
The more you know.
The more you know.
So it looks like both teams are going to clear out the bruiser camps, but Better Than Bots was actually able to push it in a little bit towards amateur opponents and get some of that structure damage in, but it won't really be enough. It is worth mentioning here as Better Than Bots looks like they're trying to rotate down towards this Malthiel. As Malthiel's able to slip away, I guess, body in the rotation before it actually collapses on him. It looks like another fight is breaking up over here in top lane as Anubrak dives in. Blaze comes in, and there's a big stun in on the Deckard. The Garrosh is able to barely get out with that unstoppable.
Yeah, and that gives Better Than Bots room to get this turn in. Evil Alto with 17. It only needed to turn in 4 to get that first objective. Two Better Than Bots pushing in on amateur opponents. And as those web weavers are spawning and this 4v3 is dissolving in the middle, if you take a look, Garrosh has almost a full minute of CC time 5 minutes into the game. He's getting those Qs out, he's getting those body checks, he's getting a lot of value out of his kit early on. Deckard Cain with 33 seconds of root time. Roots and slows, they both count. Really interesting to see the makeup of the crowd control. Anna and Jaina both with a lot of slow time. I expect to see Jaina start creeping up here soon though, as these team fights start evolving. Jaina also trying to defend her top set of structures from this web weaver, getting Anubrak really low. Anubrak taking a lot of damage from that tower, trying to go hard on the Jaina, but Jaina able to stay alive. She's sitting back on her mount watching the show, waiting for some help to come up. Anna coming in from a very dangerous route, gets a sleep and a heal out, able to stay up. And it looks like amateur opponent's going to try to get a turn in soon, as Better Than Bots doesn't have enough to get a double turn. A big throw from Garrosh on the Anubrak. Anubrak behind the fort tries to dive out, not going to be able to get out as Blaze goes and picks up his gems. Good guy Blaze, always willing to rifle through his dead teammates' pockets for loose change. And then he tries to escape. The 4-man of amateur opponents able to stop him, gets him thrown back. A lot of healing coming out on the Blaze despite the 30% heal block. Really impressive survival coming out of Blaze when we were seeing him get caught so much earlier on. Not this game, but earlier games this match.
Blaze is a big wall, and he's got a lot of self-healing, so it's really kind of hard to kind of catch him unless you get a really good pick comp. Because even after the Garrosh, though, he's able to get out. But it looks like amateur opponents is able to turn in after these level 10s come out. You want to go ahead and walk through the level 10s as the web weavers are dropping?
Absolutely. Blaze, Combustion, Sylvanas, Wailing Arrow, Deckard Pain, Stay a While and Listen, Falstad, Mighty Gust, and Anubarak, Cocoon. Then Anna, Nano Boost, Last Rites, Malthael, Jaina with the Ring of Frost, and Warlord's Challenge on the Garrosh, which we just heard go out, taunting the Anubarak in, holding him down. Anubarak gonna fall early. We see the Root go out and the Ring of Frost, but Sylvanas able to take down the Jaina as Falstad flies in, gets a big gust right on the edge of the gust is Garrosh and Raynor, who are going to get caught by it, slammed through the wall, picked up by the Combustion, and the Root not quite enough to catch the Raynor, but Raynor going to go down anyway from the follow-up by Sylvanas. Blaze going in, stunning the Garrosh. Garrosh is going to fall. Malthael taking out the Falstad, going way too deep, trying to catch the Anna. Anna able to stay alive, barely, only able to heal herself with the grenades. What a fight coming out of both teams. Big survivability from amateur opponents on what looked like could be a much more disastrous team fight. Better Than Bots, great engage, losing 1 for 2 as the Red Web Weavers have been summoned and are pushing. That is a great
I want to
defense.
count that Anubarak catch as being part of that. I believe that was actually 2 for 2.
Oh, Anubarak had respawned by the time we were looking at it. Good, thank you. Good catch, no pun intended. Anubarak was the first death of that, 2 for 2, keeping the kill counts 3 for 3. The last ult that we hadn't gotten to, Hyperion, is the heroic for Raynor.
I think Garrosh is coming in, throwing that Blaze away as we have a little fight breaking out over here in bottom lane. But it looks like both teams are kind of backing off.
Yeah, it doesn't look like either team wants to overcommit. Better Than Bots wanting to hold on to their gems. They have 44 and they only need to turn in 14. So even if they can get this turn in, they'll still have a lot to have to keep protected. As amateur opponents, not enough to turn in either. Looking at that double turn. Last Rites out on the Blaze. Stay a while and listen, able to keep Blaze alive in the Gust, also pushing them away. Blaze getting caught by the Malthael and the Anna. Raynor finishing them off. Did that Last Rites go off too soon? It did. Last Rites still only has 1 stack from that previous fight on Malthael. Unfortunate circumstances. Couldn't Blaze able to stay alive just long enough to make that Last Rites not count for Malthael's quest. And we see a lot of action going up into the top turn-in. Anubarak able to dump all of his gems in. I think he had some gems. That's what he was doing there. But
he had a couple. He had like 8.
Because he had died recently, he didn't have a whole lot. But you only need a few to add to the stack, right?
I mean, every little bit counts.
Yeah, speaking of every little bit, 9 gems on Deckard Pain trying to get turned in. And the
lost
defense,
10 on the Ana with that pick.
Yeah, the defense from Sylvanas and Falstad able to catch Anna, killing her as Deckard Pain gets his 9 gems turned in. That is exactly enough for the Blue Web Weavers to descend. They're coming through. Second objective for Better Than Bots as Anubarak gets picked, thrown, Last Rites under the fort. Big gust coming out from the Dune Man on the Falstad, blowing the rest of amateur opponents into oblivion. Malthael and Garrosh going to go down in exchange for that. Anubarak Hyperion comes out. All ultimates used for Better Than Bots as Ring of Frost comes off cooldown and is used immediately for defense under that fort. Anna still has Nano Boost, but it's going to be pocketed for now as amateur opponents being really shut down on this map right now.
Yeah, that was a big gust into Stay a While and Listen, really enabling the rest of Better Than Bots to really get in there and set that team fight up. I guess it counts as a dive, too, because they did it under the fort as they were able to take that mid-fort as a result of that fight. But it was big gust.
Really good combo. Not a combo I would expect to see usually.
No, not usually I would expect it, but it makes sense because Stay a While and Listen has a very wide hitbox, and it goes on for a decent while as well. So the Gus is really easily able to set up Better Than Bots in on that as they try to walk in this bottom Web Weaver. But it looks like they're going to back off right there at the gates of this key.
Yeah, those Web Weavers do disappear into oblivion, and amateur opponents looking for an opportunity to come back. They're down a talent tier, just over a full level in experience. How do they come back from this?
I mean, the objective here on this map is big. It's easy to farm out with these mini waves coming in every 30 seconds, and it's you just got to be able to make a pick with this Garrosh, and big fight coming out actually. Stay
Yeah,
a
we
while
see-
and listen.
So stay a while and listen. Malthiel doing his best to stay alive as he flees. Falstad flying in. Last rites goes off, but it's not going to do any damage. Falstad finishing off the Malthiel. Jaina taking out the Falstad for a revenge kill. Big follow-up from the Sylvanas with the Banshees to take out the Anna. Anna going down. Raynor chasing on the Sylvanas, trying to stay alive, chasing back into his own zone, but that force not there. Brute from the Decker Kane able to stop Garrosh from getting out. He starts walking away, but it does fall as well. Quests get finished up for Decker Kane and Blaze. 3 for 1 for Better Than Bots, and naturally they'll boss with it.
Yeah, the boss is one of the big map objectives on this particular map when the web weavers aren't ready to drop yet. So as a result of getting 2 picks off this Ana and the Garrosh, you're able to take this boss pretty much uncontested.
Yep, and if we take a look, amateur opponents, while they know that they're doing the boss, they don't know for sure that they're doing the boss. It's kind of obvious. There is the pick. And
Jaina's able to
getting
get
the
in that turn in. I guess they're going to try to just use the web weavers as a way to, I guess, push back against the boss.
They'll have to clear out this boss and then really do everything they can. Now that they're back on the same talent tier, they need to do what they can to get enough gems to get a double turn in. But looking at that, seeing as they only have 13 gems to their name right now, that's a tall order to get the, I believe, 60 now that they'll need, as this is their second set of objectives, to get a double turn in and maybe turn the tides as well. Coordinated rotation coming from Better Than Bots to go down and clear out that bottom web weaver. It's going to fall. The middle web weaver already gone.
It
Top
looks
web
like
weaver might.
amateur opponents is looking for a pick. They pick up this Anubarak, and the taunt comes out and the toss comes out. Then Anubarak goes down. It looks like this is what amateur opponents is looking to do.
Yeah, that will probably turn into some momentum for amateur opponents. This top web weaver not even going to make it to the fort. Remember, even without taking damage, the web weavers do lose. I think it is a constant 100 damage per second that they are alive. So you really want them to start deeper in the lane. So a good clear on the objective for amateur opponents. Better Than Bots with enough gems to turn in. That pick on Anubarak really big. The death timers are getting long, and Anubarak really, well, amateur opponents really taking advantage of Anubarak's positioning, as he does seem to venture in without his team by just a couple of seconds, but that's all Garrosh needs to force you into a really bad position.
That's why you take tanks like Anubarak who are really mobile. That way you can get into some of these bushes and try to make spots on the enemy teams and rotations, because you're going to have to face check that bush. And so it's going to end up having to fall to the Anubarak to try to see when they don't have a fix on amateur opponent's position to face check some of these bushes.
But if
so,
he face checks that bush on a mount, then he still has those abilities available to get out.
yeah, no, I agree.
So interesting to see. I'm interested to see how that works out. This is a good opportunity for amateur opponents to take control back. While they have this objective pushing into them, Anubarak has joined his team. They have an opportunity to get a clear in a lane and make a crafty flanky rotation. As Better Than Bots not quite all together. Probably looking for a pick on this Falstad. No, he goes the safe way. Garrosh looking for an opportunity to engage. Looks like we'll have a 5-man in the top lane under the keep. At this point, amateur opponents just looking for a mistake to capitalize off of, kind of like the Anubarak positioning, and we'll see what they can force. This web weaver getting melted down, but not before the keep goes down. The root dividing up the team so that no one gets caught, still splitting them up, but Better Than Bots not wanting to commit. Both teams rotating down to the bot lane now.
Yeah, as the bottom web weaver is starting to push into this keep, it looks like amateur opponents was able to clear it out. It was at the end of its timer anyway, taking that damage of time, like you said earlier.
Yeah, so not going to get much push on that keep. They do take the top keep, however, between the boss and the web weaver. Lots of pressure in the top lane. Amateur opponents still yet to take down a structure from the enemy team, and this has been the case pretty much throughout NGS so far, that the early map lead rolls into the win. But we will see now that Better Than Bots has level 20s and amateur opponents is still looking for their level 20s. We'll see if amateur opponents finds a way back in, shoves their foot in the door, pushes it open, and reintroduces themselves to better than bots.
Yeah, their amateur opponents has a pick comp here, and death timers are starting to get long enough now that we're starting to get level 20s out that they might be able to make a pick like their comp is designed for, and maybe turn around some momentum. And I think that's what they were really looking for in order to try to get back in on this.
Yeah, that's
Um,
absolutely just like we were talking about at the beginning. If they get the picks, they win, but they're just not finding those opportunities. Better than bots staying tight knit, and they don't even see the Sylvanas all by herself now, because she's staying with her minions. She did some clear so they could see her at first, but now they have no idea if they're together or not. Really trying to get that level 20 before anything else, though. We're not going to see them pick a fight without level 20.
it looks like they don't even want to leave their base at all without that level 20.
They have no vision.
Despite the fact that 76 gems, they would have turn in, people have objective, but they just do not want to have veteran bots collapse on them with those level 20s already up. They just want to farm out just a little bit more. I think that level 20 just hit for amateur opponents.
Yes, it did. Good lay. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it, friend. Come back for more NGS action. We do see better than bots looking for a boss play right now. See, this is where you get risky. They have gyms at their boss, or gyms on a Deckard, I guess. I can't find them. I guess I could use special ways to look. Blaze has the gyms. An opportunity to turn in to get objective and the boss at the same time, but the Gus comes out from Charleston. He's in a bad spot. He gets picked up. He goes down to the Malthiel. We still have ultimates. Hyperion goes out. There's a stay a while and listen. Silence continues on the Jaina from that improved level 20. Hyperion, there's the taunt coming out. Deckard Payne getting tossed on. Anubarak, a heavy boy to catch. Last rights goes out, finishes off the Deckard Payne. Anubarak nowhere to go but to his fellow Beetle boss buddy, and he's going to run away. Instead, Jaina finishing out the Anubarak, a 3-for-0 turn for amateur opponents, and that's what they need to get back in. Level 20s are up for everybody. Malthiel still hasn't picked. Probably going to see no one can stop death again, and amateur opponents going for that boss that better than bots kind of toyed with and ended up not committing to, and it turned out kind of rough for them. But
no, I think that's just what the doctor ordered for amateur opponents, but it looks like just as amateur opponents was able to cap that boss, veteran bots was able to drop those web weavers, again, as I guess a way to push against the bot and be...
But Falstad is back up, and he'll be able to join a fight very quick. He's going to go push off that boss, it looks like. So amateur opponents able to take out these web weavers really at no cost, and they get their first fort of the game. So amateur opponents really hitting their stride with those level 20s, and maybe that's really all they needed.
Yeah, it remains to see if they can do it again. It's the thing is both games, this and the last game, amateur opponents had a clear vision, but the Nubarak and the Blaze have been very disruptive. So I want to see if amateur opponents can execute again, or if this Blaze and the Nubarak can be too much for them to handle.
Yeah,
Blaze comes in, it looks like the fight starts.
And a toss on the Blaze as the say while Alyssa goes out. Must have had an unstoppable garage for that to happen. Cocoon, Malthiel, the wind tunnel, keeping amateur opponents on the wrong side of better than bots as Blaze dashes in on Malthiel, who's going to flip over onto the other side of Anubarak. And they're going to, both teams going to try to regroup before going in. We have a 5v4 down here. Malthiel can't get to his team. Anna goes down, so does Garage. Rainer and Jaina having to run away. Lots of heavy damage coming out from Sylvanas as looks like better than bots gonna look to finish here up 5-3. However, again, these cores are a lot easier to defend, but it is level 22. This keep is gonna go down. Rainer, Malthiel looking a little far out there away from their core, trying to get some damage out, trying to get some suppression, looking for some breathing room. Malthiel getting engaged on by the Anubarak, the root, the stun, and Malthiel is going to go down as well. Let's see, does he? No one can stop death here. No, he took Angel of Death at level 20, so not able to benefit from last rites here. And not able to come back alive, and no one can stop death. And we see better than bots with the reverse sweep, taking off the #1 team in the division, and that's going to have an effect on the stat pages. Better than bots remaining undefeated in the season, and amateur opponents taking their first loss. That is That what a match! What
What
a
a
match!
match.
And again, we see the team that fell having more damage output overall, so the execution from Better Than Bots way stronger. Uh,
Yeah, it's just the wall of damage you have to go through to chew through Blaze and Anubarak was just maybe a little bit much to try to chew through. So they're able to absorb a lot of damage, giving amateur opponents a rough time trying to execute their team fight plan effectively and go through with their pick comp. The CC is just a lot from these two tank picks.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see very different types of I mean, even with the garage pick, we see a lot of CC for both teams, but different types with the Anubarak Blaze engage comp versus the pit comp with the garage. And Better Than Bots did a really good job in avoiding those picks. They stayed together most of the time, able to play keep away from Garage. And Garage ending up the sad, lonely kid on the playground because of it.
Yeah, and then I really liked a lot of those gusts from the dude man. Those gusts were very disruptive, able to effectively split up the team for amateur opponents. Really being able to kind of block the central idea of throwing someone in the middle of their team and just kind of ganging up on them. If your team is kind of split up, it's a lot more difficult to focus your fire like that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I really did like a lot of those gusts coming
Yeah.
out.
Oh, fantastic, Gus. Hey, I'm gonna see you in a lobby channel in the NGS Discord so we can get an interview going. And I'm still waiting on Nadri to join up in this lobby. There he is. He's made it, and so has Crafty. What a match, Crafty.
Yeah, it was great.
I love game threes. So it's never anything personal in a game two. When I ask to see a game three, it's just because I like to see game threes. So
Okay.
we saw very consistent bans from both teams up until a small change in game three. But tell us about those bans. That's what I found most interesting off the bat.
Okay, so I know that Butte Holiday was a little annoyed that we didn't schedule our flex matches a little early, but she did, and so I definitely was scouting them out. They definitely play a good gray mage, and they definitely have a good mage in there. So we wanted to take away their damage hero, and I think it ended up working out in the games 2 and 3.
It looked like it worked out really well. So tell us that Towers of Doom, not not as quite as smooth as you probably would have liked it to be. Y'all had a great comeback towards the end, and then just kind of fell at the end, exchanging towers, but losing control of the altar area. So without delving too much into the loss, tell us about what the mentality was like coming out of that, going into game two.
Okay, so Towers of Doom is usually our favorite and best map, and so we were a little demoralized after that first game because we had a tough start, but we knew we were winning fights at the end, and we knew that we could come back in game 2 because the team fight is what really determines Volskaya. And so we picked Volskaya, and we were just letting it play out.
Yeah, and it worked out. Worked out really well for y'all. Definitely better execution. One of the things we were looking at was the drafts seemed fairly similar. Amateur opponents kind of had the advantage early on, but both teams were collecting all the toys at the same time. And I feel like the turning point, and if you think it's a different turning point, tell me. But I think the turning point of that game was that catch during the second objective over the biotic emitter.
I'm not sure. I'd have to rewatch it. I'm
Okay,
kind of
so
right after the game.
that's all right. You guys got pushed off of the top objective, and
Okay.
amateur opponents had one person on the platform, and the others were were getting the support camp, and then you guys came in, pushed them off, stole
Oh,
the support camp,
yeah.
killed them, and it seemed like y'all kept the momentum from there.
Yeah, I think that really was the turning point. We got that really good fight in there. Newbrick had to get the stuns in there and then die, but that sacrifice was not in vain. We definitely got a value out of it, and I think it did start turning around straight from there.
Yeah, definitely, and it was really fun to watch too. Um, the Blaze and Nubrak combo working really well for y'all. A Nubrak getting caught out a bunch in that third game, especially, but the CC train. Well, so in that third game, a Nubrak getting picked off. How did y'all make those adjustments? Because some of those he looked really deep as well, but in both the second and the third games, the Blaze and Nubrak CC train was oppressive, and it turned out to be very oppressive towards the end of the games as well. So tell us about that comp.
So, double tank for one is always pretty good with Blaze because Blaze is real good at clearing the lanes, and if you can just get some extra CC with another tank, then you're in good shape. But with the Anubarak, he was getting thrown, but as long as he got those CC in, we were able to follow up and get value out of it almost every time. So yeah, we have some things we can work on, but we definitely were able to mostly get value out of those stuns and throws on from Garrosh.
Yeah, really good adjustments into that pit comp. And my last question, real quick, before I throw it to Nadri, you had you had a really strong pit comp to fight in game three. Y'all had a really hard, solid engage comp. So the analogy I made at the end of that game was y'all played a good game of keep away from Garage, leaving him the lonely kid on the playground. How were y'all expecting the Garage pick, or what was the thought process behind? All right, they've got a Garage. This is how we have to play. And I stayed pretty tight knit almost the whole game.
I think that we always tried to isolate the Garrosh because we know he's good early game and he can be a real good or late game. If he can't get near you, then he can't get any value. So like when we gust and cocooned them, that was a mistake, but we were trying to just keep him away so he could go against their backline. That's an example of how we were trying to keep him away. But we kind of knew they were gonna pick Garrosh based on uh, how Johanna was banned, how ETC was banned, and looking at what they play, we kind of had expected it.
Well, the ETC ban was yours. You had the choice between ETC and Garage, both probably the most popular tanks behind Joanna. But knowing that banning ETC leads to a Garage, you can strategize around that, I'm sure. All right, Max, what do you have? Nadri? Can't hear you, bud.
What's up, Noah?
Yeah, you're a robot, but other than that, we can hear you. Almost. Yay, technical difficulties. It's all right. Are you still a robot?
Am I?
No,
Tell
no,
me.
you're not. Welcome back.
Okay, so technical difficulties aside, I was just wanting to know about some of like the calls that you're trying to make, especially like in that game three, when some of these team fights are kind of looking like they're breaking out, like the Garrosh comes in a bush. Like, tell me about some of the shot calling when you just suddenly get a Nubarak thrown into the enemy team.
So, I mean, it depends every single time, basically. If we can get on the back line, whoever we can punish, that's who we're going to punish. We're definitely trying to target that on it. I mean, if they're going to use everything they have on Anuba, he's doing his job. He's the tank, so our damage is just completely untouched. And they've just wasted all their abilities and ultimates. So we were kind of just watching for that. Ideally, I could have maybe been the one thrown since Blaze has a higher health pool than Anubrak, but it's Anubrak does have the burrow charge to get out, and that was kind of the hope, but that's kind of what we were looking at.
Anything else, Nadri?
No.
That Gus play into the stay a while and listen, fantastic at the end. Also, there was a wall there, as chat pointed out, but a really good play overall.
Yeah.
The Falstad positioning with those Gus shown through in both games that he was picked. Y'all didn't pick him game 2, right?
All said no. We had the Junkrat.
Right, the Junkrat. So yeah, both of the games that we saw the Falstad, really good Gus, really good positioning. And the Junkrat play, all right. I'm not a Junkrat fan in general, but definitely some good plays coming out of him.
The
Um,
whip kind of turned the game though.
it did. I just don't like Junkrat. I mean,
Yeah, he's annoying. That's for
yeah.
sure. I don't
So,
like playing against him.
but the Gus absolutely on point. Is there anything in particular that you thought you wanted to talk about out of any of those games? And no is an acceptable answer.
Um, you know, amateur opponents, they played well. They definitely punished mistakes. Gotta just play safe, and I think we did that. So
So, so
we put, yeah.
speaking of having mistakes punished, you had a reverse sweep. So you lost the first game and then you came back, which means you had ample opportunity to see what you were doing wrong. What do you think coming out of these 3 games is the thing you need to improve on the most?
I'd say mostly just watching those rotations, playing safe, and that's, I mean, that's really it. We just need to play a lot more safe, even though that is kind of what I said we did.
Well, you
But we
adapted,
started,
yeah.
yeah, the first game we were a little aggressive and started to need to choose our fights a little more wisely.
Okay. What do you think y'all did the best?
That we did the best at getting on their back line and punishing it in that game 3, because that garage we were able to get out of position and just kill the Ana and the Jane, and it was pretty much over after that.
Okay. Yeah. Um. So now something a little less about this game. Um, as the captain of Better Than Bots, I am sure you speak for everybody. Which, if you were to have a superpower, what superpower would it be?
And assuming we can't have the superpower to get everyone else's superpowers.
Right. No, what we would call infinite wish loopholes.
Yeah. That's always a difficult question, but I think, time travel is always gonna be the best one.
Okay, so time travel. Now, how would you handicap it to make it not overpowered? For as an example, like if you were to be able to teleport, and I said sure you could teleport anywhere, but you always ended up 6 feet above the ground where you were going.
Okay.
What
Uh,
what kind of time travel handicap would you have?
how about the butterfly effect is very, very effective. Like
Okay,
one small mistake and it can go out of control.
okay, so playing with the rules of you can't affect the
Yeah,
past. Although
yeah,
you wouldn't know how it would affect the future if you go to the future either.
yeah, but yeah, that's true.
I do
It
claim.
wouldn't be much of a handicap if you go in the future.
Right. Um, would you? Can I blow your mind for a second?
Okay.
What if I told you you already have the power of time travel?
Well, that'd be crazy.
You are
You'd be
traveling.
crazy.
You are traveling to the future at a rate of 1 second per second.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna have to think about that.
All right, bud. Let's get your shoutouts.
Okay, well, obviously, I'd like to shout out my entire team. That's Dude Man, Alto, uh, Dr. Evil, Megan, and of course, Grizzly, who was not playing tonight. And then I'd also like to shout out you as the caster.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
casting.
I love it. Definitely love it. Been
So,
very fantastic several weeks so far.
cool. And I'd also like to shout out the enemy team. They played well.
Do you
And
think they
I'd
played
like to
like
play 'em.
amateur opponents?
No, no, definitely not. I think that they are very good opponents.
Well, good. Lots of respect coming out. That's really great to hear. Um, and so your team's still undefeated in your in the season, and is definitely going to move up in the division with this with this win. Is there anybody else that you're concerned about? Any other teams you're scouting out in particular?
Well, there is a team that I think is still undefeated. They've only played one game.
Oh,
So I think that's probably who we'd have to choose. I think it might be Cosmos. No, it's not Cosmos.
is it?
Essence Gaming, maybe?
Let's see.
I don't know.
Resurgence of the Storm has only played one match so far.
Okay, and they won that?
They did win. They did win
Okay.
against Team Training Wheels.
Yeah. I think that is gonna be maybe our next toughest opponents.
All right. Well, definitely good luck to you. Thanks for hanging out with us. Really
Yeah, no
fun,
problem.
really fun match to watch, and I definitely look forward to seeing your match throughout the rest of the season.
Cool.
All right,
Thanks.
go celebrate with your team, but don't celebrate too hard.
Will do.
All right, Max, I'll call you back. Maybe. There he is. So here we got, as I keep calling him Max, Nadri. Fantastic match overall. So now we've looked at the stats a little bit. I'm going to show talents to chat, but overall, what are your impressions of the match? And also your first game co-casting in NGS.
So it was kind of fun to
You're
do
a
the
robot
casting.
again.
I did like, especially like in that room too, a lot of
You're
big
still a robot.
explosive team fights.
You're a robot.
Oh my goodness.
You're still a robot. So while you're fixing that, thank you, Grizzly and Alto and Megan, for the follows. Appreciate it. And of course, you're so welcome for the cast. I love doing this. It is definitely one of my favorite things to do, especially now during quarantine. But even as things like this are starting to move on, I've been looking for an opportunity like this, and so casting with NGS is basically a dream come true. So thank you so much for providing great content for me to yell about. All right, Max, you were saying.
Oh, I liked, especially like in game 2 when they really started picking up and having all these explosive team fights. It's just fun to watch. Just watch them set up like that big gust to stay a while and listen. It was real exciting to see these teams really kind of come out to out of the gates and show what they got.
So you and I, we play a lot of Storm League together.
hmm
Do you think there's anything from this match in particular, anything that you want to try, anything that you notice, like, hey, maybe that's something I could do better, maybe something you could do better, like things like that, things that we can take these opportunities to learn from, because that's one of the reasons why I love casting these matches. Is also, it's not just the community, but also the ability to get better by watching other people play, because I'm really bad about watching my replays, so watching other people play is the next best thing.
I think Trent kind of touched on it a little bit. Gotta watch out for rotations, make the calls. There was definitely big brain play with the stay a while and listen and Gus. I've not seen that before actually at all in solo league, solo play, and so having like coordination with the teams like that is just beautiful. But I think the biggest thing to work on is just like either making those rotations or spotting those rotations is a big thing to work on, to learn from even.
Yeah, absolutely. So and adapting to the enemy team. That's one of the things that I've been seeing a lot, like the keep away from Gary.
Yeah.
And learning how to use your team comp into their team comp instead of just having a plan and then you watch your plan get blown up in front of you when at the end of draft you're like, this is what's going to happen, and then you let it happen anyway. It's like, so I'm excited to start practicing some of those, and I've already started doing that. And I mean, I know that you've heard me talk about it a little bit. That's one of the things that I really like about here. And especially like the pick comps with the garage and stuff, combos to try the gust with the stay a while and listen. It's real. The combos are interesting. The execution is interesting, and the overall map play, the macro, is really fun to watch. Well, it's not necessarily fun to watch. It's very informative to watch to see how the rotations go. So definitely also thank you to all the players that are teaching us so much just by playing a game that you love. Anything else?
One thing I did want to mention is both in Game 2 and Game 3, when you were looking at the comps for like amateur opponents, they had a very clear vision of what their team fight was going to look like and how they were going to execute. But one of the other things I wanted to mention was Better Than Bots was very disruptive with their double tank combo in both Game 2 and Game 3, where they were able to come out, see what the vision was for amateur opponents, and just be very disruptive. And so I wanted to actually applaud them for a second and just mention that.
Awesome. Yeah, the cohesion in draft, a lot of games can be decided in draft. Not that one hero necessarily better than the other, but when you get those comps and you get that cohesion and, like you said, that vision of a team fight, definitely really good to have. Well, so that's also before phasing out of this part. Thank you so much for joining me with casting. This is your first match of NGS, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you some more.
No, yeah, it was a blast. Thanks for having me, Taco.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, folks. If please fill out that